In our never-ending quest to find the best platform for investors to use, I needed to take a closer look at IG. If you're familiar with this platform, chances are you associate them with in-depth trading tools and a complicated world of odds, arrows, and candlesticks. But in recent years, IG have been branching out a bit, spreading their wings outside the world of active trading and gambling, and attempting to offer long-term investors a cost-effective place to invest their cash. So I wanted to see what they're all about. But in order for me to investigate properly, I created a checklist of the key questions that need to be answered. These were based on some essential things that we always look for, and some negative reviews that I wanted to either confirm or debunk. Will IG pass the test when it comes to being a solid, reliable, and trustworthy platform? Let's find out. Please remember though that nothing we say in this video should be taken as financial or investment advice, as we are not financial advisors, and all investing has risk. At the time of recording, IG has a somewhat respectable, if not a little disappointing rating of 3.9 out of 5 on Trustpilot. And while a lot of the 5-star reviews commended them for their great customer service and online communication, shout out to Martina, many of their 1-star reviews also talk about their customer support, just not in the same glowing way. "Almost impossible to get any technical support," says H. Lee. "Brainless, thoughtless customer service." Oh, don't hold back, Jeremy. "Having opened an investment ISA account with IG last..." Yeah, I'm not reading all of that, but I'm sorry for everything you've been through, Martin. "Food is awful and very spice. If you want survive, you don't try piri piri."
What's that supposed to mean? You threatening me?
Doesn't seem too bad. In all seriousness, it makes sense that a lot of the bad and good reviews are about customer service. If you strike up a great conversation whilst discussing your account problems, you're more likely to go and leave a review about it than if you simply just like using the platform, and vice versa. So I wanted to see if there was anything else that kept popping up as a potential negative, and there was one thing that I saw time and time again. Withdrawing seemed to be the most common complaint other than poor customer service or overly spicy ETFs, so I wanted to test this out for myself as a top priority. I logged into my IG Invest app and noticed that I had some leftover cash sitting in my account. Perfect, I'll just withdraw it now. Oh, they've got a minimum withdrawal amount of £100. Well, that's not exactly ideal, but I guess a lot of places do. And it's also saying that it'll take 3 to 5 working days to process, which feels like an awfully long time. Kind of annoying that I have to deposit money in order to withdraw money, but anyway. I've requested it now, so I'll update you again when it lands in my account and let you know whether these reviews are confirmed or in fact debunked. At the core of my list of things that I wanted to learn about IG was what the investing experience is like. So what accounts do they offer? How cheap is it to invest with them? Is their app easy to use? Things like that. Currently, they have 3 investing accounts for you to choose from: a stocks and shares ISA, general investing account, and a SIPP, which is a pretty solid front 3 if I've ever seen one. And let me tell you, it didn't take long before I realised why IG's stocks and shares ISA has gotten so much praise. There are no account fees or trading commissions, minimum deposits of £1 that land in your account instantly, plenty of stocks and funds to invest into, a selection of ready-made portfolios you can choose from if that's your thing, and to top it all off, it's fully flexible. When using their comprehensive range of filters to find stuff to invest in, I couldn't really fault the experience. The app is really clean and intuitive, with more than enough information and features for you to use when investing. Now, if you're an active trader, then you might not be too impressed because it is quite bare bones, but for those of us that want to passively invest on a recurring basis, it's got everything that you need. But as I located the funds that I wanted to buy, I did find myself wondering what the catch was here, and unfortunately it didn't take long for me to find out. When using IG's stocks and shares ISA, you currently aren't able to buy fractional shares, meaning you have to have enough money in your account to be able to buy at least 1 share of an investment, otherwise you need to deposit more. This is a problem for a couple of reasons. 1, it makes investing with IG far less accessible. Say you want to invest into this FTSE All World fund issued by Vanguard, but you only have £100 to invest with, well, you just can't. And that adds quite a large barrier to entry for a lot of smaller retail investors. And 2, it makes passive investing more difficult and limited. With fractional investing, you never need to buy a whole unit. That means if you deposited £200 and wanted to invest into this fund, you could invest the whole £200 with no change left sitting in your account until you deposit next month. So it allows you to get all of your money into the market if you want to, rather than having cash sitting on the sidelines. There are many competitors out there who offer fractional shares inside their ISAs, with a good few of them also being as cheap, if not cheaper to use than IG's. And that's where my second issue with IG's ISA lies. They're a cheap option to use, don't get it twisted, but they do have a pretty high foreign exchange fee of 0.7%. Meaning if you want to buy shares listed in any other currency other than pounds, shout out to my guys trying to go all in on Nvidia, you will pay this fee on the transaction. I do genuinely believe that if these two problems are addressed, IG could be right up there with the best low-cost platforms on the market when it comes to stocks and shares ISAs. And that's not all IG has to offer, so I wanted to take a look at their other accounts. While I had to dig a little deeper to find the flaws of IG's ISA, it really didn't take long before the flaws of their SIPP slapped me right across the face. Where the ISA is completely free to use, the SIPP is not, as it has a pretty hefty £210 a year administration fee. The reason this fee exists though is because IG's SIPP is provided by Options UK, who are a separate company that offer pension products. So this fee is being paid to them, not IG. That doesn't take away the fact that you're paying it though, and that there are quite a few providers out there with cheaper SIPPs. However, this fee is capped at £210, so the larger your balance gets, the less impactful the fee is. And if you don't mind forking out £17.50 a month in admin fees, then IG's SIPP is actually quite appealing. But for this to be a complete non-issue, then you probably need at least 6 figures in your account. It supports both employer and director contributions, drawdown when taking your pension, and in-specie transfers. This SIPP has all the bells and whistles that you could possibly ask for. It's just a shame that they had to essentially outsource it to achieve this. But then using the SIPP is almost the exact same as the ISA, so at least the outsourced management is integrated nice and smoothly. And the fact that all of your accounts are neatly placed at the top here allows you to switch between them quickly, which is a nice bonus. When I look back at my time investing with IG, I'd be lying if I said that it wasn't mostly positive. Like when I deposited and it landed in my account immediately, or who could forget the time that I didn't pay any fees for opening my account or for buying an ETF. It's easy to see why this platform is held in such high regard. I just hope they iron out a few of the issues that are holding them back from truly competing with the biggest names in the space. With arguably the most important item on my checklist marked off, I only had a few more things to address. But while trying to do my research and really get to grips with the platform as a whole, I did stumble across something that I'm not entirely sure I was supposed to. As I innocently mooched about on my IG dashboard, opening things up to test them out, seeing how everything worked, doing my in-depth research, I clicked this button here, Add Account, and what did I see staring directly back at me? A junior ISA. But they don't have a junior ISA, I told myself. Or at least that's what I thought, as it isn't advertised anywhere and doesn't come up under their list of accounts on their website. I could only imagine that this is how hackers feel when they finally break into important databases. Information flooding their screens that they know they shouldn't be seeing, and a mix of fear and excitement coursing through their veins. I froze for a moment, hovering over the new account. Ferg, wait, you don't have a child? You could go to prison for trying to open this account. No, I need to test this for the purpose of the video. Although I don't know how that's going to hold up in court, but I had no other choice. I clicked on the account, and lo and behold, I was prompted to enter the details of my child in order to set it up. So this account must exist in some sort of capacity. However, I did draw the line at committing fraud to see it for myself. For now, just know that this is here, but we're not really too sure what's happening with it at the time of recording. It does say it's new, so there's a good chance that it's either not been announced yet, or it's gone live prematurely. I guess we'll never know. Wait a minute, I just got my money back from IG. How fast was that? So in total, it took 15 minutes. Well, don't those nasty reviewers look silly now, eh? For full transparency, I withdrew £100 back onto the exact same card that I deposited with using Apple Pay, so I couldn't really have made it any easier for them. I do believe a lot of the issues people have been having relate to either larger withdrawals or trying to withdraw to a different card to the one that they deposited with. But even so, I think it's fair to say that these reviews have been debunked. Receiving my money within 15 minutes of withdrawing is incredibly fast, so we can tick that one off of the checklist. Despite being impressed overall with the investing experience and accounts available with IG, there was one item on my checklist that I was slightly worried to delve into. It was probably the most important of all of the tasks on my list, and I've called it the wolf check. But to explain this, I need to give you a little bit of context. For many years, IG actually operated predominantly as a betting company, allowing you to bet on the price of gold and other commodities, financial markets, sports, politics, and eventually began offering CFD trading at the turn of the millennium. They only started to divert from this betting style approach in 2011, as IG became solely a financial trading platform. However, they still had a big presence in the CFD space, so you could argue that it was still a gambling company. Even to this day, IG offers CFD trading and other forms of pseudo-gambling on their platform, which is how they make a large portion of their revenues. And this got me thinking, with how good their investment offerings look on the surface, could they be trying to lure people onto the platform with the aim of then tempting them to make more speculative gambles? Are the investment offerings just a wolf in sheep's clothing? While testing the app out, I did notice that there were quite a few calls to open a crypto account, which I sort of understand as, at the time of recording, it is a new account that's available, but also they have very high trading spreads of 1.49% per trade, so clearly they will be profiting from you using that account alongside your investing ones. Now, it's not great that they're nudging you to open this kind of account, but at the same time, it is very easy to just ignore this entirely and only use the other accounts at your disposal. Also, IG have two completely separate apps that you can use, their IG Trading app and then the IG Invest app. I personally don't think that they would offer an investing specific app that doesn't give you the option of trading inside of it if their aim was, to aggressively push you into trading. It's impossible for me to know their true underlying intentions, but with the amount of work they've put into the investing side of things, and with how cheap they've made it, it doesn't feel like it's one big ploy to lure you in, but I could be wrong. What further backs this up is that they're making money from their high FX fees inside the investing accounts as well, which makes it seem more genuine that they just want to offer something for every kind of investor. Although that could be what they want me to think. Either way, based off of my investing experience with IG, I didn't feel like I was being pushed over to the trading side and could easily see myself continuing to use their ISA without ever feeling tempted to have a dabble. And for that reason, I'm going to say that they've passed the wolf check. For now. I'm not saying they won't start to push trading more inside their Invest app, but if I had to put my money on it, I'd say that this is a genuine sheep. That brings us to the final item on our checklist. Is IG a good platform to invest your money with? And that really comes down to personal preference at the end of the day. If you're someone who just wants to invest passively, but you could see yourself being lured by the temptation to open something like a crypto account or download the trading app to give it a try, then you might be better off sticking with a platform that doesn't offer this at all. It'd be a bit like saying you're going on a health kick, but walking past the breakfast buffet every morning on your way to the granola. Are you sure you can resist stopping by for a quick sausage? Based on what I found during my time testing IG, objectively speaking, IG's offering is competitive at the very least. They're close to as cheap as it comes within their ISA and general investing account, aside from the FX fees, which you can avoid if you're only interested in UK listed stocks and ETFs. And they have a strong selection of tax efficient accounts, including a top secret and maybe not real junior ISA, which is all backed up by a great app that makes investing feel less intimidating and easier to understand. The only real drawbacks are the fees that you'll pay for their SIPP and the absence of fractional shares, which are both things that they might address in the future. The fractional shares is a big one in particular, especially if you're new to investing or if you only have a smaller portfolio. So my verdict right now is that they're good, but there might be better options.